Start at the top. That's number one. Then I'll do my number one. Then you do your number two. Then I'll do my number two, and so on and so forth. Sound good, my friend?
Mm-hmm.
Then let's start our top 10 wrestlers that were made by TNA.
Start at the top. I'm going to start off. I'm gonna kick it off with Monster Abyss. You think about names, you rattle off 10 names that I think most people exclusively associate with TNA. I think, uh, you know, the monster comes to mind. I mean, basically became a hardcore legend there. Uh, you know, featured and started and was the main player and in some of their most gruesome matches. Literally, the man gave his body to that company with the matches he had between the hardcore stuff and just prolonged aging and the grind of it all in general. And yeah, if you think about it, he's one of those names where you exclusively compared to TNA, who at one point he was that that big man, or certainly one of the best when he was in his prime, who had that fear factor about him. I mean, obviously Undertaker's the GOAT, but I think at a time Abyss was certainly somebody that was on the map and was a big name, and certainly was somebody that company heavily depended on and did a lot of stuff in that company. So I gotta kick it off with Abyss.
Now, I always kind of wanted to see Abyss stay healthy. Around 07, 08, he started to let himself go, and he never got himself back in shape, and I think that really harmed his career. But before that, from like 04 to 06, dude never had a bad match. He was great. My first pick, though, is going to be one of his former tag team partners, one of his former stablemates in Rosemary. When we talk about women in wrestling who have done the most with what they've been given, I don't know how you cannot go with the Demon Queen herself, who has, just constantly found new ways to reinvent herself, but still stay true to who her gimmick is. She has fallen off a little bit over the years with the in ring, but when you realize how good she still is, and you realize how entertaining she still is, that's a testament to the fact that she's just a gem of a talent. You cannot have a wrestling promotion without someone like her. Always great at the mic, can put on good matches, has a unique look, can't be duplicated. There is no one in wrestling like Rosemary. There are a few who try to be, but no one who is. And that's when you know that you have made this gimmick solely and wholly your own. So, Marcus, with that said, who's your second option?
Yeah, I'm going with a popular one. Somebody that is now synonymous with the Impact brand with this gimmick. Pretty much a damn near legend before this, but certainly made himself legendary within the confines of Impact during this run. I'm talking about the one broken Matt Hardy. Um, when this gimmick first came up, forget this, get the year specifically, but I remember the early stages of it. It just looked like he was experimenting again. I remember he had that what cold blooded Matt Hardy thing when he had the braids, and then that was just
That
that
was
didn't work
awful.
out. Oh, it was bad. And then he started this, and it started out as something like a bad looked like a lazy Halloween gimmick, and then it just evolved and took on a life of its own, and literally came and thrived at a time when the company needed it to the point where it really was the only thing they were relying on. Like he took that character, infected upon his brother, and created damn near a whole universe where people were tuning in to Impact just to watch this broken Matt Hardy stuff. The look, the mannerisms, the the aura of it. It took on a life of its own. There's not a lot of things in wrestling that we haven't seen done repeatedly, damn near to death. And for him to come up with that kooky gimmick, for it to catch on organically and to go for as long as it did, almost too long, before it to go as long as it did and create a lot of success for the company in a time when it needed it, um, that people still talk about it to this day, I think says a lot. So that broken Matt Hardy thing, I think It really was. It felt like kind of lightning in a bottle in a way.
Thankfully, it's not a genie in the bottle. My next pick is going to be that of the LAX. And frankly, I think you could do literally any era of the group. Whether it's the Conan, who is it? Machete, Homicide, Conan, Apollo, and Homicide. Whether it's Hernandez, Conan, and Homicide. If it's the Hector Guerrero and Shelly Martinez, Homicide and Hernandez, or even the 2016-2017 incarnation that included Homicide, Diamante, Santana, and Ortiz and Conan. That may have been the best top to bottom. So, any era, because they always delivered in tag matches. Bound for Glory 2006 with that epic cage match against Styles and Daniels. Then you had the barbed wire massacre match that they had with Homicide, Santana Ortiz against Sami Callihan and OVE. That was incredible. I think that's barbed wire 3. So, like, they're fantastic. And it's sad to see Ortiz and Santana no longer being tight. But, during their time in Impact, Homicide and Hernandez time in Impact, they really both made huge strides in the tag team division, and they became stars. So, got to go with LAX, one of the better stables in the history of wrestling, and one of Impact's better creations that they've ever had. Marcus, what about you?
I have to agree with that. I'm going. My third one is somebody who was very much grew with the brand, seen the person kind of like a starter from the bottom out of his journey, even though this wasn't their first stint in wrestling. Uh, Certainly a memorable character slash gimmick in the company has to go to the the little chief executive advisor that could and Rockstar Spud. Obviously, he came in the company through gut check. He had an independent run before that, but he wanted to grow and get bigger, and then enter Impact through gut check.
I think it was
Had
British Boot Camp, actually.
yeah, you're correct. Thank you. British Boot Camp. Did his thing there. Had some early stage stuff, but didn't necessarily take off. And then we got reintroduced to him as chief of staff of one Dixie Carter, where he was basically, I mean, he was the butler of the organization for her, and then obviously her Dixie faction that she would later go on. And as tortured as he was in that role, he truly made that thing his own. And as somebody who wasn't actually wrestling on the show for a while at the time, between his suits, his mannerisms, his relentless uh, commitment to the role, and putting himself in whatever position he needed to get the faction over, and particularly just put himself on the altar to be sacrificed week after week, whether he was getting thrown off stuff, put through stuff, taking hits, being slapped, and then post the faction just outright being demeaned by EC3, which led to him being a true underdog that could, when he probably had one of the better matches in the company in like a 3 to 5 year span when he took on EC3. And then I think he went on to did he become a champion, I think? At that time.
Yeah, Spud won the X Division title, I think.
Yeah, so he was being a runt to to damn near a hero. And it was that character truly had an arc in that company from zero to hero, and it was inspiring to see. And it's all because of his commitment to that character. He truly was like an organic felt like an organic homegrown hero that just to this day is something fun and somebody fun to go back and watch and really made a name for herself. And I'm definitely gonna be dropping you a clip after the show because I finally found one that I was telling you about where he absolutely was hilarious. But yeah, Rockstar Spud, man, you can't deny his rise in that company.
Speaking of people rising in the company, Sami Callihan, I think, gets to have the emphasis of being one of the better brand champions that they've had. Um, in recent years, more specifically since his injury, we have commented that his work rate has slowed as he's gained a few of the lbs. But as a personality, he's still someone who captivates many. And I oftentimes feel like they drop the ball with him by trying to be trendy and as Tyrus would say, woke, by having him drop the belt to Tessa Blanchard. That was the mistake. That was a mistake. I said it then. I'll say it again. And I said it then before all the derogatory stories of her and her mistreatment of others came out. I didn't think it was right. I didn't like it, and I still don't like it. And I feel like Callahan kind of got pushed to the back burner, and now I feel like they don't know what to do with him. But I think they're in the middle of doing a feud with him and Eric Young at the moment. I haven't watched Impact in 2 weeks, so I'm not sure. But if that's the case, that'll be interesting because Eric Young and him, I think, are tailor made for a feud with one another. And I think Young can probably get the most out of Callahan, and all the things that Callahan has done in this company have been fortified by his just dogmatic personality. He is someone who captivates. And if Impact lets him have more mic time, less creative restrictions, I feel like he's part and parcel the best promo on any given day that Rosemary isn't there. And when she is, they're jockeying for one. So it's definitely a very easy choice for me to pick Callahan. And he's been there for 5 years. And considering how fast guys leave this company because of their 3-month deals or 3-week deals or whatever, that's saying something. That's saying something. Marcus, who's your next guy?
Me, I mentioned this guy with Spud, and he's another one that's kind of undeniable in terms of seeing somebody go from zero to hero or the absolute having an arc. You talk about guys in the company. Got to talk about Ethan Carter III in that regard. He got introduced. Obviously, this wasn't his first stint at wrestling, much like Spud, but I feel like he cut his teeth and really grew into something special in Impact when he got introduced as the nephew of the owner of the company at the time, Dixie Carter. He introduced himself as Ethan Carter III, aka EC3, and he went from a spoiled, rich, uh, just hypocritical brat and really evolved into something special. I mean, Chad mentioned about talking about people on the mic, great on the mic, um, damn near like a Roman-like physique, um, great theme music. The kid had it all. Kid had it all, and for a time, he was one of the best things to watch in the company. And he became a world champion. And stuff kind of got muddled with how he was booked and differing between him being a face and a heel. And he absolutely thrived as a heel. That's when he was at his best. I think that's his natural state. But he had a hell of an arc in the company. I never even clicked with the guy, honestly. And then it just got to a point where I couldn't help but appreciate what he was doing and what he was bringing. And now it's nothing but a memory because he's evolved into just a complete, just absolute tool in every sense of the word. So yeah, much like the NWA back when it first started on YouTube, it was good until it wasn't.
Marcus, how can you say that? You're not controlling the narrative. One could say that you're nothing but trouble, 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 trouble. Speaking of trouble, if you were facing one of these three men, or God forbid all three, in 2002, 2003, you were dead. You were walking death, as Ken Shamrock would say. I'm talking about Triple X. No, 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 no. Not Raw's affinity for the adult lettering. I mean Elite Skipper, Loki, and Christopher Daniels. Which is ironically ECW, WCW, and Ring of Honor forming a trio. It's awesome. I
Respectfully.
love it.
Yeah.
And they were kickers. Not like field goal kickers, but they loved to boot the bitches. And by bitches, I mean the Flying Elvises. Oh, that is a gimmick people will only know if they're of a certain age. Or the Dups. I don't think they ever wrestled the Dups. I hope they didn't. They were one of the first real. I don't even know. Like, would you call a trio a stable? I feel like yes, but also no. They're also part of a bigger stable. So, like, again, like, were they a stable? Were they a trio? A tag team? This threesome was part of Vince Russo's SEX Foundation, not foundation, stable promotion. That's the word I was looking for. Which was, of course, the lettering meant what the fuck was it called? Sports Entertainment Extreme, but with an X, not two E's, because it would actually be C if you spelled it correctly. But you know, it's Vince Russo. Gotta have the X marks the spot. The three of them were great, fantastic. Even after Loki got hurt in late 2003, early 2004, and it became a duo because I think Loki went to wrestle in All Japan at that point, and then stuck with Ring of Honor for a while, leaving only just Skipper and Daniels. And then of course they had feuds with AMW, the New Church, who else? Styles and Lynn. They also ended up, becoming a foundational member of the tag team as they got the Fox Sports News deal, and their feud with AMW got heightened up to a higher level than ever before. Leading up to that, I think it was Turning Point 2004 cage match where the loser had to break up and could never tag again. And Skipper hit that amazing tightrope cage walk on, I think it was Chris Harris, and they ended up losing somehow because they tied Daniels to the cage with handcuffs and then pinned Skipper, I think. And then they held true for 3 years. They never teamed up again until 2007 when they teamed up again. But this time Loki was back, so it was okay. So yeah, I liked it. Great stable, great trio, great tag team wrestlers, three great individual talents, and two of them are great people to hang around with, and the other one is Loki. Marcus, who's your fifth and final selection? Momentarily lost Marcus.
And we're back.
There he is.
Yeah, this was a personal favorite of mine. One that I just felt like I had to integrate because even the origins of it is still stooped in the company. Yeah, this is a unique pick because this was something that literally was a little concept brought to real life. So obviously everybody remembers the TNA Impact game, RIP, the one video game that we got out of the company. Great foundation, but should have gotten another go. Anyway, the main character of that video game, the one that you played with through the story mode, if you will, was a character by the name of Suicide, and he had a unique look and this, that, and the third, and I think the company decided obviously to also promote the game, but get a unique figure on television. They decided to bring that character to real life, and uh, when it debuted, it was certainly unique to say the least. And because they had the likes of, I think, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian behind the mask, not only did he look cool, but he performed cool, and it was one of the smoothest things to watch, particularly as he got integrated into the X division. He had great music. He had a great entrance. The suit was cool, all except the oven mitts, gloves, which I know had to be a pain in the ass to wrestle with. But yeah, Suicide was one of the more unique things that they did. I wish it had uh, got done better longer. That character had gone through several iterations, and I think by the time it got to one T.J. Perkins, it was dead. As most things are. Um, Dealing with that kid. Um, Nothing personal, but you just
It's personal.
yeah.
We don't like you.
It's personal. We don't have with you, kid. Um, yeah, I like the suicide of it all. When they brought it back, in the last I think decade of Impact, I thought it was cool. Obviously, they took away the mitts. The suit got a mild uh redesign, if you will. And I
Have a
think it
new
had
name.
potential, but they kind of let it go. And I think I always appreciated the just that character in general, and like I said, what Kaz and Daniels did, what I thought was great. I thought he was a cool X Division champion, just something that was just unique. So yeah, I think Suicide for me, that's a personal favorite of mine.
I loved his theme song. That was great. His debut was fantastic.
Yeah,
They really pushed him hard, especially during the release of the game, which I own still to this day. I mean, I sold it and then I bought it back, but I still own it to this day. One of these days, I'm going to sit down and actually unlock all the characters. Playing in the season mode was great, but the highlight of the game was the Ultimate X mode. That was peak, absolute peak. Apparently, Black Wrestling Twitter's unhappy that Dom Mysterio defeated Shelton Benjamin. For what it's worth, Shelton Benjamin's been eating L's for over a decade. This ain't new.
He cut a hell of a promo after his last loss on Raw, and people, when people do, you know what happens when people do those great promos. Everybody coming out. Oh, he should have been a world champion. Should have had a great run. He's great. He's good. He's good people.
Good people on both sides. I can't do it like you. You're a good voice actor. I just try to make stupid sounds.
Yeah, it's just one of them things. We know Sheldon. I mean, look, Sheldon got some of the most memorable moments in that company, but I mean, and he's still in great shape for his age. Sheldon's like touching what 40, if not 40.
Oh,
Uh,
Shelton's way past 45.
yeah. So I mean, the fact that he's still in that phenomenal shape and can do what he can still do, but it's like he's kind of, I guess, in their mind, a relic of the past, which is why he's taking the L's to somebody like a Dominic Mysterio and getting fed to people like freaking Vince's last experiment. Um,
Grayson Waller, Waller Grayson, Baller Frayson,
not him.
Austin Grayson,
Austin
Theory
Theory.
Waller.
Boom, there it is.
Marcus,
Austin.
I'm white, and I can't tell those two fuckers apart.
Welcome.
I was just about to say, now
At
you can.
last. Welcome, my friend. It's
I'm
good.
putting this in the freebie category for the eventuality where I have to say something like, they look the same to me. And I'm going to take this one and be like, but I said it about white people too. So I get an Uno pass. I
Uh,
still don't know what black magic you guys are all into where you can tell Jimmy and Jay Uso apart. Like, I can't do it. Like, until they got haircuts, I was fucked.
which is fair. Which is fair. They're proper twins in that
Well, according
regard.
to Rikishi, they're not identical. And I'm sitting there asking Rikishi, the fuck they're not.
You're like, my cheeks are, they aren't. I'm like, we didn't ask you about your ass, sir. But but yeah, yeah. It's one of those things. But yeah, you were talking about the store mode, and obviously the
Yes, the
ultimate.
Ultimate X. But moving on to my last pick. He technically debuted in WCW. At least he's the first. I first saw him in WCW. WCW Saturday Night to be exact. Early 2000. Shark Boy. He popped up and was a regular for, I'd say, a good 5 to 6 years in TNA. Maybe even longer than that. He was a mute comedy wrestler who wore Hulk smash gloves. Remember when the Hulk movie came out and then those Hulk smash gloves that every kid wanted came out?
Very popular, yeah.
He wore those all the time. And he hung out with his best friend. And if I'm lying, I'm dying. Because it was New Jack. And there's a very funny, very dumb, very stupid segment they did where Shark Boy was wearing his Hulk gloves. I think it was Hulk gloves. And he had like little arm floaties on, but he was in a kiddie pool. And New Jack just walked up and like hopped in the pool. And I'm like, come on, Shark, you got a match. And I just remember like going, who's on coke who thought, hey, these two fuckers, they'll make a great tag team because I'm worried about you. You did too much. You have permanent brain damage, I'm sure. So to see Shark Boy go from a mute to basically just doing Shark Boy stuff on the pre-show. In fact, he actually had a match with Nigel McGuinness. Pre-show of Genesis '05, Shark Boy v. McGuinness, Desmond Wolfe. There's a little fun factoid for you. And then he eventually, like, I think in 2007, 2008, evolved into the, what was it? It wasn't Stone Cold Shark Boy. It was like, what the fuck was it? I can't remember. But he was basically doing his Stone Cold impersonation. Where instead of hell yeah, he'd say shell yeah. Where instead of the stunner, he had the chummer. And he even had a great match with Eric Young against Team 3D, where Shark Boy threw mackerel at Bully Ray. Like just a big ass fish right into his face. And it's dumb. It's so dumb. What was it? Shark Boy or was that Curry Man? The three of them were a trio: Shark Boy, Super Eric, and Curry Man. So I might be remembering, but Shark Boy and the Stone Cold ripoff was fantastic. Oh, it's so good. Give me a shell, yeah.
Oh, shell, yeah.
I'm gonna drink a clam juice. I'm gonna drink another clam juice. I'm gonna drink a third clam juice.
Look, man. Super EY, Curry Man, Suicide, Shark Boy. The commitment to those characters, man, has to be commended because they were some of the most entertaining parts when they were on TV and they was firing on all cylinders. Shark Boy, Shark Boy, particularly when he had got some of the pool stuff, great.
And apparently, Stone Cold thought it was hilarious.
Which I'm glad because a lot of wrestling OGs could be real a holes about stuff like that.
Well, like that's the thing, because like Jay Lethal was doing the same thing, but with Macho Man, and Macho Man thought it was hilarious to the point where they were trying to work on something to bring him in to do something with Jay, and it just
Yeah,
never came to fruition.
which is great because nothing malicious is behind either one of that stuff. Like you don't even get. It's because of how great those men were that you get the black machismo and the but the like you said the freaking the chummer. Your man backstage. It's hilarious.
It's so good. Anytime they do a parody in wrestling, as long as it's done with a fandom perspective, it always comes off well.
Absolutely. Was he ever on Spin Cycle?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, Spin Cycle.
That's a show they need to bring back. Like I admire what they're doing with this Before the Bell,
Yeah.
but they need to add more of the spin cycle elements. But like see like the spin cycle stopped working when Jay left the company. Because the best parts of Spin Cycle, especially when the Motor City Machine Guns were on, was Jay Lethal in the audience of one person heckling the entire time. Oh, that's always like that's the best. That's the best. Oh, I love it. I love it.